the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Arbor Digital, the forefront of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and wealth management, providing a low-cost, research-based investment strategy for Alaskans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Visit arborcapital.io today to put your money to work.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
The Connoisseur Lounge, Alaska's premier locally owned and operated cannabis retailer, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. Their cultivated products include Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Superglue, and much more. Find them at theconnoisseurlounge.net.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They're the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Snow Pro AK, your snow and ice management company specializing in business and residential properties. They know what it takes to keep your property presentable and safe. Give them a call for a free estimate at 280-7098 or visit lawnproak.com. Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
Did you guys have that that cow done there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So on the sheep hunt, Jake brought a bunch of Bear Mountain meats.
That's right. Yeah.
Like all kinds of different ones, like a Philly cheese. Habanero sticks, all kinds of delicious
Philly
stuff.
Cheese what?
Philly cheese brat.
Ooh,
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
I could get into one of those like right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we did
start making us hungry here.
We harvested a cow a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
And we went and brought it to Bear Mountain. It was the first time I brought the meat. We brought the meat.
Cow moose.
It was a cow moose. Yeah, it wasn't a cow.
Yeah.
It was a cow moose. And I
totally didn't pick that up. Thank you for clarifying.
I wonder if she knows.
I was like, harvested. Okay, all right. I think there's a different word for that.
We were driving down the road and we saw a moo cow out there.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to
too close to the road.
You.
It's on public land.
I'm going to go ahead and milk this thing and then get a ribeye off.
There's like a whole world of people who have access to moose, and then there's a whole world of people who don't.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm like a moose borrow, stealer. Like I'm thinking about getting on the roadkill list, but I'm a little intimidated.
Can you actually borrow some moose meat?
No, I mean, you have to give it. Yeah, it's not. Okay, sorry.
I promise I'll give this back.
Beg and steal. Thank you. Clarification noted.
You should get on the moose thing. My uncle's on it.
I'm scared to do it because I don't have a garage. So if it was like in the winter, I'd have to I just need a friend with a garage. I have like an Arctic entry, but it's not the same.
Well, let's just say if you got on the list and you just had like another short list of homies to call.
Yeah.
Hey man, if I get called, I'm going to call you at 3 a.m.
We're going to go get this
and
moose.
you better get your 2-place trailer out and your garage open.
It's such a good wild meat. Like it's just super versatile and delicious and lean. And like it has such a nice kind of complex flavor. There's like so much that's good about moose. But yeah, hard to get.
Yeah.
If you don't, have the hookups.
I think that, you could just do the 2-place snow machine trailer in the driveway, because you have to take some stuff apart before you get home. It wouldn't be that hard to do it. And then just go bone on, into the butcher, unless you're taking care of all the meat yourself.
Yeah. I hadn't actually thought that far.
You could literally take the whole thing.
Yeah.
To wherever, Indian Valley or Alaska sausage.
Like straight up, here's
the whole thing.
I think Indian Valley will take it on the carcass.
It will.
The whole carcass.
You'll have to gut it though.
Yeah.
Which isn't that
I'm
hard.
not freaked out about. That's all right. It's like a pig. It's like what else?
Yeah.
But even if you just quartered it real quick in the field and then brought like a sawzall, zip through some stuff, throw it on the back, and then bring it in bones in, and let them clean up the meat.
It'd be funny if you just roll up in your camo and your head like Otis and Tudor on the side.
Your Kuyu jacket on.
The hot tip about the roadkill thing is that all of my friends and family friends that have done it all sign up at the same time.
Yeah.
So it'll be like Bob gets it tonight, and in the morning their Aunt Judy gets it, and then the next night cousin Frank gets it, and so suddenly they just get hammered with all this moose at once. So you gotta you sign up this week, and then
spread it out.
Whoever else signs up in like a month.
Yeah, I don't think I don't have a lot of moose friends. Like it's bad. I'd need to travel in moosier circles, frankly. Yeah, my family's
Are you a moose
fish,
harvester?
A fish sort of family. They're not they're like fishers, but not hunters necessarily. So
I wouldn't really
but I want to
call this thing that we did a hunt. I mean, it's like kind of like a high population. It's to get rid of the moose kill before the moose kill happens. Kind of harvest.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah, those are.
I decided that
legit.
was the one moose that I was going to put in. This year was that one. Yeah, because I was like, man, I always put in for a bull.
Yeah.
Where we go moose hunting, and I was just like, I'm like, I don't think I'm just going to change it up because I like the idea of if I strike out or my crew strikes out or whatever, that obviously it's not a really easy tag to get. It's low percentage, but if you were to get it like what you guys did, now you and 2 other buddies have this last minute moose in your back pocket to fill your freezer, and I'm like, man, that's badass. And low pressure too. You're not planning this 2-week long to do fucking moose hunt.
No, dude. We were at Palmer Ale House at 11:30.
Yeah, having Bloody Marys. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It was
moose in the back of the truck.
Yeah, but this is the first year. This is the second year that we didn't take home a moose from moose camp.
Yeah,
and ever. And this is the first year we were sheep hunting. They closed the caribou area, so I didn't have any meat in the freezer. I ran out, and it's like the kids have only eaten wild game since they were born, and they're like, "Where's our food?"
Yeah,
and I was like, Uncle Jake drew the cow tag. We're gonna get it. I promise. We have one more pack of deer dogs.
Oh, Jake drew that?
Yeah. So
he got a brown bear in it. Oh,
yeah, he had a lucky year.
Okay, so I have to. I don't want to rabbit hole too much because I know we're on a little bit of a limited time, Julia.
What?
But the bear hunt.
Oh yeah, dude. There's some good stories. I think Jake's coming in for episode 100.
Just give me a little something. Just give me a little.
There's a 11-foot brown bear on video that he stalked, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah. So with his bow, he was rolling with the compound, and
scary.
Yeah. So they had a good time.
Okay.
And I guess we'll probably get to watch some videos.
Okay. Okay.
But they had.
It just dawned on me. I'm like, we talked, and he was leaving for it, and then.
Yeah. Got
You did-
stuck for 4 extra days.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had
Well,
a
we'll
good
save
trip.
we'll save that for hunted for hundo.
Alaskan adventures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Alaska Wild Project, episode 94. Today we have Julia O'Malley in the house, old friend. Julia is an Alaskan writer, editor, mama, cook, award-winning writer, and author of The Whale and the Cupcake. You can find her on Instagram at JO'Malley17. And my first question is 17 your old soccer number?
Maybe. It's my lucky number. I just like that number. I don't know. It's always been my lucky number, but it's
17?
possible. But in my JV soccer days, it sort of gotten hazy. Those are really fun, though.
Yeah.
Never really ascended. Like, if you could just kick a ball, you could be on varsity. But like
At East, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Maybe not. Like, there's some good players, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, we've known each other since junior high. Wendler.
Yeah, Wendler. Mm-hmm. Wendler Rams.
Goes way back.
Damn.
Deep,
Yeah, long
deep
time.
cuts.
Yeah.
Was there like organized JV and varsity soccer
At Wendler,
at
yeah.
Wendler?
Yeah.
And East High too. I know
Well,
because
East I know for sure. High school, but
I never got beyond JV. No, I played at Wendler too. It's
Yeah.
fun.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think they do that anymore, actually.
I
They only have
doubt- I
like
seriously doubt it.
one, if they have any, I think in junior high. Do you know?
I don't even know anymore.
I don't know. Yeah, junior highs. I don't know. Maybe Romig has a team. There's all these comp teams now. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
super.
Should look into that since the kids are about to go to junior high. Where's your son going to go?
Romig.
Okay,
Yeah.
mine too. Same grade.
on.
6th
They're
grade.
gonna know each other.
Right on.
Worlds are repeating themselves.
Yeah.
It's weird living here.
What's your favorite thing about being a boy mom?
I don't know. It's like I like it when they, they're alien.
Fart?
They're kind of aliens. Like they're kind of aliens, but it's weird. I've spent a lot of my life around boys. I had 2 brothers, and I have the same like dude friends from high school still, and these dudes just never quit surprising me. They're really vulnerable, and they have like lots of feelings about things, and they figure things out. It's just like all kids, but it goes really fast. They're just at the age where they figured out the other day how to make coffee, and they made me coffee. And I don't know.
That's convenient.
It's like a friend of mine told me once that like parenting, there's a time at which, all your energy is going out of you. You're like just they've got these kids, and you're trying to keep them and from killing themselves and all that stuff. And then this thing happens where it switches, and all of a sudden there's like more people on your team. And that's kind of like the phase I'm headed into is like, they're not so much trying to kill themselves and more they're like adding to the fun. They can like take their coats off and put their dishes in the sink and still peeing on the shower curtain. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
What are you gonna do? My friend
That thing, it's
came
a while
over.
before you can get a hold of that thing.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. My friend, she has 2 boys. She was like, "Yeah, I had to keep. You have a white shower curtain. I had to keep washing mine." She says delicately because my kids always pee on it. And I was like, "Oh, that's weird." And then I went in there and I was like, "Oh shit."
That's what she was talking about.
Yeah. I was like, oh, "All right, okay, learning something there."
Thanks for
Yeah.
the nod.
But yeah,
Yeah, my kid just started learning to make his own quesadillas.
yeah, mm-hmm.
He's like so stoked to make one. He's like, "You want to make one, Poppy?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, make me one."
Are they good?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Too much
Even
cheese
like
or not enough?
I showed him how to do the right
Okay.
amount of cheese.
Does he grill both sides
Double
first?
cheese.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah. The double, the
Yeah.
butter, grate the
Oh.
cheese,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Throw some cheese underneath with the coconut oil.
No, not
Fry that
that.
cheese into
Yeah,
it.
fried
Ooh.
cheese. Fried
Oh.
cheese is the secret to all things. So good.
I
There's
like
levels. There's levels.
I liked how you explained it that you added to your team.
Yeah,
Like that.
right.
That is like that hits it right on the head when you kids start like helping.
Yeah. And
You
they
know?
can do for themselves. And, I'm always
Yeah,
messing
like
up, like
it's-
embarrassing them and stuff. I try to be like cool, but I thought
It's
I
like
would
a
be
fine
cool.
line there.
I thought I
you,
would
you
be
can't
cool.
try too hard.
Yeah.
It's got to be like a natural, like, wow, mom, like, do something cool around their friends, or their friends are like, oh, your mom or dad's cool.
Yeah.
You can't be like, you forced it, and it was like, kind of awkward.
I'm always like, I'm embarrassing. I make too many rolls. I don't know.
You gotta be a parent.
I know. It's a fine line.
No, that was a good. That just like light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, oh man, that is a great feeling.
It's
like
a phase.
They can
and
do
then,
their own load of laundry for once. And
yeah, I mean, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta remind them to put it in the dryer, but.
Yeah, and then they nuke it and then shrink everything.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I'm never keeping up with everything. So the boys are always like, "Mom, like, are my pants like clean? Where's my soccer socks?" I'm like, "Wash them. Sorry." Like, oopsie.
We had picture day the other week, and we realized like
This late in the
none of this.
season?
No, it was like a month ago or whatever,
okay.
and we were like, well, what are you gonna wear? And he's like, nothing fits. He's like pulling out all the stuff, and everything's like, up to his like calf, all his pants, all his long sleeve shirts. So it's like his picture's like in a t-shirt because all he ever wears is like sweatpants to school and hoodies.
Yep.
And so he had to wear like the nicest t-shirt he had because we didn't realize like all this stuff doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Like,
The cycle, man. You always like getting rid of gotta buy new ones, and their knees are always out. Like the knees are just like they just break. Like I don't know. Anyways, so I wanted to ask you guys about braising wild meats because this is like some of my cookbook research I did when I was working on this book. I like looked at a bunch of historic Alaska cookbooks, and there's a lot of recipes for braising wild game. But whenever I do it, whenever I follow these recipes, which is sort of like a slow cooks, like wine and tomato sauce, some whatever, it just kind of disappears into like a tiny little tough ball.
Yeah.
And maybe people think that's good, but I don't. And there's got to be a way. Maybe you just shouldn't braise wild. Like maybe you shouldn't be braising wild game like
It's too
that.
lean.
Because I was like, I think it's just like not a thing. Because people are like, I just make a pot roast out of. I'm like, do you though? Because like a pot roast out of something with so little fat, like how is that gonna turn out?
It's dry and crappy.
Yeah. Yep. So what's the way we marinate? We grill? Like what do we do?
So, I mean, for like pot roast and stuff, and with big wild game, at least for me, is I cut first, like little pieces, and I throw it in late, and I don't leave it there very long. And then when you pull it out, of course, let it reabsorb as much fluid as you can. So, leave it on the cooling with fluid.
So are you like heating up vegetables and then putting them in
meat in later. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's just
good.
what I do, but I'm not the best cook. So
That's good
I like
advice,
to keep it all on the bone and then definitely sear first.
yeah.
And then always add the vegetables like last.
So which vegetables are we like? Because potatoes are controversial, but are we
I
like
rarely use potatoes.
Yeah, right?
I like to do carrots. I like to do whole mushrooms like in the end.
Onions.
Onions, I'll do like 3 different kinds of onions in really big pieces. And I like to do really big pieces of like pineapple.
So wait, take me through this. Let's start at the beginning. So it's like you're searing the meat, and the meat is what cut of what?
Okay,
animal?
so like the last one I did, we got some sick of blacktail deer, and it was small doe. So I took basically the entire leg and like kind of smushed it up so it would fit in the pot, and I seared. I salted and peppered the whole thing.
Flour? Did you flour?
No, I didn't flour. I did a whole bunch of onions and garlic.
It does work good, by the way, Julia. Though.
Really sliced and diced, and used that in the pan, and then stuck that into the pot, and then with the same juices, I put then I seared the meat, and I put that on top, just seared enough, and then I put water. I put a little beef stock. I put Coca-Cola. I put orange juice. I put wine, and I put pineapple.
What kind of wine? White?
Red.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
And then you put pineapple at some point from a can or fresh?
Fresh.
Okay.
Fresh pineapple. Bigger chunks, the better.
So we're going for like a sweet, sort of savory vibe, okay. And then how long did you cook it for?
And then I'll let that go for like 5 hours, and then in the last
5 hours at 325 in the oven.
No, this one was like in a crock pot. This is one in a crock pot.
It was a slow cooker situation.
Slow cooker situation.
On low?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. and then in the last like hour, I'll put like the thicker, bigger pieces, like the like celery or something like that. It's gonna get a little better. And then in the last like 30 minutes, I'll put the mushrooms because they'll get all mushy and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. That's a good.
It's come out pretty good.
Yeah,
But I never do the same thing. I'm always like, oh, I do have this. I have that.
You like know how to cook.
And I put Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, don't. Let's not like. I like the Dr. Pepper, but same.
Really?
Yeah, but I do.
Dr.
I don't.
Pepper,
I do that on a pork, like a pork shoulder. Same idea though. Like I do
kinda
the big,
sweet.
the big onions, and then you sear up the shoulder. You take the onions out, sear up the shoulder, but I do cornstarch and like salt and pepper, and then take it out, and then onions on the bottom, big pieces of carrot. Maybe I don't. I'm not gonna. Let's take carrot out. Just then I put the meat. Then I dump chilies and adobo sauce and Dr. Pepper, and then we do the slow cook.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to take like a round shoulder or like a roast off of a moose, and like no matter what, all those amazing delicious things you throw in a crock pot,
It's too
and then
hard.
have to pull it out and then cut it, and it's not dry.
No.
Like it's still, even to Jack's credit, like throwing it in late probably is going to give it the best.
It just doesn't
chance,
seem to
but-
dry out as much because you can look
Yeah.
at it and be like, okay, this is good, medium rare. Like you're
Yeah.
just pulling
Smart.
it out and looking at it.
Yeah, because the last thing you want it to on a game meat, in my opinion, is you don't want nothing bleeding.
No,
'Cause
that
it's so
seems
it's so
problematic.
irony and
Yeah.
like it just ruins the flavor.
Yeah.
So it's like really better overcooked than undercooked, even though when you overcook it now it's dry. But when it's undercooked, it just tastes. I don't know. I can eat some undercooked moose meat, but it's just very
Yeah, it seems.
tastes like a bloody nose kind of.
Yeah, I get that. Have you ever had whale meat? Like not the blubber,
No.
but the actual whale. It's like the most like metallic thing I've
Metallic.
ever
That's what the
tasted.
taste
Like
is,
it.
yeah.
I had it and it was done weird. Like it was done non-traditionally, so it was like in
Yeah.
butter and wine, and it was so dense. Like it's marine mammal. It's been living a long time, and it has this incredible density. It's not fibrous. It's not really fatty. Like I think the meat is separated into the fat layer and then this like crazy kind of marine metallic, but you eat it and you just can feel it in you. Like there's a magic to eating marine mammal. Like it is so,
you go, here.
it's so unusual. That there is like a way in which it like changes how your body feels. It changes your dreams. It's like a really intense, nutrient dense food.
Like
I don't
the
know.
liver almost.
Yeah, it has that, but it doesn't have that like how liver has that like kind of back of the mouth sort of chalkiness or
Yeah.
graininess, and it's not like that. It's like a cow meat scenario, but just imagine if you were to like have no fibrousness, like,
Yeah.
and it was just like pure protein penny copper taste.
Yeah.
It's a trip. I didn't feel well. I felt like it was in me, like it was digesting through me for like a while.
You're like, get
and I had
out.
weird dreams. It was
That's
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
Just a weird chemical like.
Well, it's
Reaction in
super
your body.
nutrient dense because like people would travel, they'd be hunting in the Arctic and they would like have a piece of like blubber frozen and they would just like slice a piece off and eat it and it would sustain them for a day, because it's a slow
So
digest.
nutrient,
It's
yeah.
super nutrient dense and it's a fat that is when warm turns to liquid. Like a lot of marine mammal fat. That's why, like seal oil, which is eaten like widely on the coast, it's like
Can render it down.
you just like render it at room temperature. Just by keeping it at room temperature, and it basically renders and ferments at the same time. So it's like a real trip. But that's like magic too. It's like people use it for healing. In every Alaska Native culture uses it for healing.
Yeah.
Is the texture of that whale similar to
I want to like see it and taste
like
it. now.
It's a trip.
Yeah.
my mom would make this soup called mondongo, and it's made with like the stomach and the intestines.
Like the
It's
menudo I
like
had for lunch today.
Yeah.
It reminds me more like of tongue. Like, you know
Okay.
how that like sort of the density and not so much in the intestines, which are also eaten. I haven't had that though before. Yeah. I've had fermented whale mikyuk, which is like effervescent. Imagine that, like an effervescent protein.
Yeah.
Super marine, but not fishy, marine, like different, like more towards seaweed than low tide. Can't explain it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
The whale meat looks like beef.
It does, yeah. It has
I'm
that.
looking at pictures online and
It's just like
it's weird.
really condensed. Like
Just Google like whale meat and
Yeah.
then it'll pull up like it's it's making my mouth water, which is kind of weird.
I don't know. Like I think it was done in butter when I had it, so it was like it was just like really intensive, you know. But it does feel like something that's probably good for your body in small doses, you know.
Well, and then if your digestive system is used to like
kale.
processing
If
that.
you've been eating kale and then you try to eat that, it'll F with you.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like if you overate this, like, oh, this whale meat's so good, and you just ate too much, and then
No,
it would
you'd
probably
be
make
ill.
you feel sick. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It
the
looks
meat,
like game meat.
the meat,
Yeah, it looks. Look,
yeah,
That's whale
right there.
meat?
that is,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look quite. It didn't look like quite like that when I ate it. Yeah, that makes it look a little bit more like beef, but it's like I can't explain it. Anyway, it'd be interesting to try for you guys to try it.
Yeah. Now I want to. I really
I
want to
definitely
try.
passed up my chance.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, in Iceland.
You passed it
yeah.
up?
Yeah, I chickened out after going to like some of the historical museums. So I was
I
like,
mean,
no,
were you like getting
no.
on an airplane the next day or something?
No, it had to do with like reading about the culture of whaling and stuff because it's like a huge part of their culture there. And so I happened to
just
go
turn
to a
you
bunch
off
of
big time?
museums that week.
Indigenous
Okay.
culture or like commercial whaling?
The commercial whaling.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and-
that'll freak you out.
Well, it was just like I'm not going to participate.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
Whales are
I
too
see.
a whole
smart.
different
Whales
thing.
are too smart, and I don't know. So.
Yeah,
But
like,
if it was
I see what
indigenous
you
thing,
mean.
and that's how I've had it.
Yeah.
I've had like the fat. You know?
yeah, like
So
yeah,
like muck tuck.
yeah.
And so my dad got hooked up, and he still like has a big piece, and he cuts it up when we go on big trips, and everyone has a little
So it
piece.
changes your perception of what the meat might taste like because it was harvested commercially versus like.
I didn't want to participate. It wasn't what it tastes like.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
commercial harvest is like it's really hard not to feel like it's wrong.
Yeah.
and it like totally messes with like the indigenous harvest, which is like not wrong. I can't explain it. It's like the indigenous people rely on it. They have for thousands of years, and they are respectful, and they are not. You're using the whole animal, and the entire community uses the whole animal,
Yeah.
and it's like how
Yeah.
people understand the land and each other, and like it makes complete sense, and it's like done in a way that has stewardship, whereas it's like commercial whaling is done because
Yeah.
There's a
They just-
bottom
It
line
makes
to
money,
meat.
yeah.
they're just trying
Yeah.
to make money, and they're not, you know, and the whales are like not plentiful. None of the things that we rely on from the ocean are plentiful anymore, and that's the whole
right.
thing about.
Especially whales. That seems.
Man, you start reading some of those old whaling books. It is insane the amount of whales they would get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. Like thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah, the
in
sperm
like a
whale
year.
stuff was insane for the
and
oil.
and then they weren't really utilized, you know.
No.
No, it was just, I mean, we had a different mentality and culture. I mean, Alaska probably wouldn't have been purchased if it wasn't for the fact that we were like very interested in harvesting, you know, fish for one, and like seal and whale and all that stuff. It's crazy going up to the Arctic coast because they have these like, there's all these wrecks. There were all these whaling shipwrecks, and they don't have any trees. So there's like house pits where the houses are built from the wood that got washed ashore from like, I mean, that's
Whaling
just so,
ships,
it's
yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think people are still living in that stuff, but it's, you can still find it.
Right.
Yeah.
Smashed up in ice and pushed ashore, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I imagine
Yeah.
they way underestimated themselves when navigating the Alaskan waters in search of critters.
Yeah.
I mean, the shit they got themselves into.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love reading those ones when they get trapped.
oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a good story, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
good stories. I mean, Alaska's full of good stories.
Endless. That's kind of one of the main reasons why we want to start this podcast and change the narrative of like Alaskan, like, you know, ice road truckers and all the shit you see on, you know, Discover Network.
Dirty jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like there's so much cooler stuff and stories to be told and heard.
Absolutely.
You know, that are actually like real depiction of what Alaska is. Not
complicated. Not
the Hollywood version.
Yeah.
Yeah, complicated for sure. Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it interesting and surprising. I mean, surprise is like basically, you know, the main ingredient for any story, right?
Yeah.
And tension. Yeah. A little tension, which hunting has, right? You're already set up with a journey, you know?
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can go sideways pretty quick.
Yeah, that's what you like. That's what you want, right? You produce that. Yeah. I mean, not really. As a storyteller, that's what you want. Yeah. Not as a hunter.
You kind of, you know, like you're prepared for it, but you don't really want, like, you don't want the bad to happen. You don't want the sketchy or hairball stuff to happen. But boy, when you come home and you survive it and you tell the story, it just really resonates and people remember it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the stakes are higher here. You know, there aren't as many people. The wild is big. The wildness is big. Yep. I mean, even when you just live in town and you got moose in your yard and you like wake up and see those mountains every day. I mean, it's just, you are reminded no matter what of like where you stand.
Yeah. It's a big country.
Yeah. That tension you have out there, you know, even when it goes well, there's this tension of what could happen or like just being in the elements. But that I feel like is like it's like working out your soul. Like you're able to grow as a human differently, you know, by being put in those circumstances. Yeah. And then you come home and, you know, you had this crazy trip and shit could have gone or did go wrong or whatever. But then like you're clear when you're, and I just feel like when I get home from those trips, like all like any sort of anxiety or whatever is just gone for a long period of time.
Well, it's perspective giving, you know, when you switch up all of the things that are important, you know, and then you're like, why was I like so freaked out about like that other thing? Because it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it could be dead.
Living in Alaska is perspective giving because you talk to your friends in a city and they're like, you know, stressing out about some like thing or whatever. Yeah. And you're just like, I don't know, but no one cares that you went to Harvard or
no, we kind of care about food security a little more.
Yeah. I mean, it's like people here care about what you can do, not what you have done. And there's good and bad to that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you guys are fishers, your family's fishers. And as I was looking at your pictures, that you guys have a fish camp?
No, I got to go to a friend's fish camp. I was just fishing, like setting off of the beach in Kenai. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then my uncle, my family's like, even though people trying to say they're feminists, whatever, the labor is so divided. Like I just never was even, it wasn't even a consideration that I would be part of the catching of the fish. So I was part of the processing of fish. And it was all led actually by my uncle, who is 82 now, and he's too frail to fish anymore. So we've had to kind of switch it up some. But yeah, we are Copper River people always. But yeah, like now I'm like, well, how, like lately since he quit fishing, I have like needed to switch up how I get fish. Like I got to figure that out too. You know, I have friends who fish commercially out of, you know, in the Bering Sea, out of Bristol Bay and then also in Southeast. So I can like, you know, and I like to patronize their like, you know, straight from boat to customer kind of businesses.
Oh, sweet.
But it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So I got to figure that out. Everything's moving around, you know.
Well, you got the kids now. Got to take them out.
I know. They do. They have gone some, but not since the pandemic. They haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've dipped, you know, they've gone dip netting and stuff. But it's not like as cool as like hauling in a net or whatever like that.
That's funny because I've fished my whole life, but I've never done that.
It's neat.
I've never really dip netted or done any kind of netting. Like
you've never gone dip netting on the Kenai?
One time, and I was like, so like, I felt like it was the dirtiest, like cheating thing I ever did in my life.
It's pretty crowded and crazy. I mean, I sort of like the diversity of it. if you think about it in the United States, like there's no place where salmon is available to like anybody with a net like that.
That's a good point.
It's like salmon is like go to the Whole Foods and you're going to pay like $25 a pound for that.
Yeah.
Free, blah, 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 blah. But in Alaska, like you can still, anybody could fill their freezer, and it is like it's an economic thing. It's like a connection to land thing. It's identity thing. But there's like Samoan churches where like people go and they fish for the whole church. Like that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool. I just appreciate that about here. But it won't always be that way because I don't know that the future of fish is really all that good, to be honest. I'm working on I'm on the third draft of a book proposal about that. Let's just send a little magic out in the universe.
But look forward to reading that.
Are you looking for like fish issues?
I got all the fish issues. I just have to figure out how to explain why it matters to people outside of here. There's so many Fishues.
Yeah.
Fishues.
Fishues. I love the Fishues.
No, but it's
I'm
like
write that down.
I mean, if you were to look at it widely, it's like about climate change. Like there isn't any doubt that the warming oceans mess with the fish when they go out there.
For sure.
But it's also about overfishing and trawling, and it's really hard to know and split out. And then there's also the issue of competition from fish that are in the hatcheries. So it's just kind of hard to sort it all out. And then whatever's going on in Bristol Bay, where they're just bonkers number of fish.
Yeah.
Like there's some evidence that that's not sustainable either. They're smaller, but their life cycles are changing because the water's warm. Like that's crazy.
They're shorter, huh?
Mm-hmm. And but it's bonkers. Like they've never had that many fish, but that's not normal either. So it just feels, the thing that's craziest though is the Yukon, where there's no fish. The kings went away, as we know. The kings are going away, but then they lost the chums. So there's like families with like multi-generational fish camps that like didn't get anything.
Yeah.
And this year is like kind of the make or break year, like to see if the fish return.
Up to Yukon?
Yeah. Because if they don't, because Mnemonic is like, you could see it on the map there. But there's like commercial fishing out of there, and that's kind of getting messed up. But it's those places, like those villages where people have been
reliant on it.
Yeah, reliant on it. And that really changes life for people. Like, just the things that right? Like how to like break down a moose, right? That's important knowledge, and you don't learn it from a book. It's like, and it's what makes you who you are. And like the cutting of fish, the putting out of the net, the hanging of the fish, all of that different stuff is like, it's just important to who we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'm on a soapbox.
Oh, no,
now.
this
I'm on a
issue.
Oh, God, I'm on a fishy soapbox.
List.
Did you look at all into the methanol de-icing stuff at the airport?
The
No,
what?
but that sounds bad.
Oh, well, so there, the Anchorage Airport doesn't have like a true de-icing facility. Like all these other big airports, they have a real de-icing facility, meaning like the plane drives into a place that's enclosed.
Oh, here they're spraying
and then
it.
all the methanol, the de-icing fluid drops off, goes into some drains and is recaptured. Ours goes out into the ocean right here. And when you put methanol or de-icing fluid into the water, it steals oxygen. And so constantly we're putting a fluid out there that's taking oxygen out of the water. And if you look at like the upper Susitna drainage and then the other streams on the other side, the Theodore, Beluga, Chewit, they have like a different downward trend in salmon that doesn't follow the same downward trend that you see everywhere else. And no one's been able to explain it. But the only difference that I know of is this de-icing the lack of a de-icing facility and sending out the methanol out.
That is a fantastic point. I mean, to piggyback on that, we also don't have like a tertiary treatment facility for our like wastewater.
Oh, that's
true.
true.
You flush it down the toilet, and they basically just like strain out the chunks and bleach that business, and they put it right out into the inlet. And that means that like prescription drugs, detergents, all that stuff, fats. They try to get that out, but it's all going out there.
Only so much gets screened.
And we're one of the very few cities of our size in the country that's allowed to do that. Girdwood's not even allowed to do that. They have a tertiary treatment facility, but we were like kind of grandfathered in, and they were like, there's so much tidal action. It just, but I'm like, I don't know. Cause like the other thing that's out there are those beluga whales.
Yes.
And they're having a really rough time. And they think that some of that might be noise pollution. Like there's a lot of worry about all those platforms out there. But there's also like, who knows what's in the water? Never mind that the water temperature is increasing.
Right.
Anyway, it gets real apocalyptic real fast. Maybe we should start talking about recipes. Like, I don't. I want to talk to you guys about deer meatballs because.
Oh, yum.
I just
Full
wanted
gear shift.
Yeah, I just like, let's just not, there's only so much apocalypse we can take right now between snowstorms.
And another fucking foot that's supposed to come.
I can't.
Yeah, bring it on.
I can't.
Bring
and
it on.
I like never get to work. But I wanted to tell you guys about this recipe that was like life changing, and I don't know what you think about it. But basically, I took venison. It was ground. My favorite way to use game meat is ground, and I don't know if that's just because I'm like basic B, but I like it. Like
So many
There's so many options.
Yeah.
And then before I put it in the bowl, I took a piece of white bread and I soaked it in milk. Then I like put the meat in there. I got some egg, parm. I used kind of like a sausage spice, so I threw some fennel and some red pepper, salt and pepper, and fresh just like chopped parsley, and man, did it kick ass. It was like a little olive oil. Yeah.
And
but
then in the oven?
I did. I didn't do them in the pan. That people do, but I'm like an oven person. It's like it's an Italian person. It's like shame.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do them in the pan, and then I dropped them into the sauce.
Nice.
Yep.
Yum.
And just like braised them for a little bit before
Sounds
I served
delicious.
them. Yeah.
Do you have a perfect meatball size?
I'm a small meatball person. I don't like a big meatball. I don't know. I don't know what that says about me. But I like them like Super Bowl because it's like there's some neat. I don't know, but there's a whole other school.
The whole thing.
Yeah, right in.
So like is like you get a Tyson meatball like from the bag at Costco. Is that like the standard meatball?
I feel like that's good. I mean, you could use like
who makes a fucking like meatball?
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It is
Like
a
a
whole
meat the
thing.
ball,
Yeah,
like
really
the full
dense, super dense. Like people like them really dense.
Be
Like,
hard. How do you even cook the damn thing?
Mom Lau loves them like that.
yeah, it's just it's
Big,
like
Yeah.
It's you braise it in the sauce, so
Okay.
so you would fry it on the outside and then you would braise it in the sauce.
Okay, I had meatballs at a like I don't know, man. It was like Italian joint from like the 20s in Chicago last week.
Nice.
And they were the best meatballs I've ever had. Just in marinara sauce, like simple. Basically, it was just an appetizer before we had this pizza. I was like, oh my God, I've never had a meatball that was.
Yeah.
Like, meatballs are just kind of like, okay, yeah, fun. You eat them with some barbecue sauce or whatever, a Super Bowl party. But like these were authentic, traditional Italian meatballs, and I was a whole new respect.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn, how'd they even cook these things? And they were just like tender, juicy, not dry. Like,
I didn't grow up eating meatballs.
Oh, dude, I love meatballs.
me either, but those things.
So my trick to the meatballs, I don't do them as well as my mom, but I do make small ones, not like mom. And at the end, I always have my sausage and peppers going for like 6 or 7 hours. We go old school.
In like what kind of like how you
Just
got them
on a pan, just on the
low heat
cast all
iron
day long
situation?
Yep, all day long.
Okay.
And so it's like
Do you put Coke on those?
No,
right.
nope. I just do the sausage and then the peppers and onions all day long. And so you don't need, it's just like a marinade at the end.
Yeah.
Or marmalade.
Yeah, like a caramelized.
It's almost like
yeah.
gravy-ish.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like bacon jam is like what it's like.
Yeah.
And so you don't even see, you see like the skeleton of a pepper,
Yeah.
But then I just put my meatballs in that.
That's good.
So then like the meatball doesn't have to be seasoned perfect. It just goes in
soaks
there.
all that juice
Yeah, it
up.
soaks it all
Yeah.
up. It's good.
There's a whole thing of like rolling the meatball. Sorry, that was party foul of bumping my mic. There's a whole thing of rolling the meatball in like a breadcrumb parm and then doing like an olive oil fry. And that's good. But here's a sauce secret that my friend Beau taught me. Beau's down in Juneau. If you ever go down Juneau, you should eat with him. He's actually coming up here to do a dinner. Hopefully at South.
Go see Beau?
Beau Schooler. He has in Bocca al Lupo in Juneau. He's just like a maniac. You guys would actually love him.
Beau Schooler?
What was the restaurant?
It's in Bocca al Lupo, Mouth of the Wolf, Italian. But it's like, it's in the old Silver Bow building. And
I think I ate there when I was there.
But he makes his spaghetti sauce like a really simple marinara with like butter and a high-quality tomato sauce. And I don't know if you guys have ever had Marcella Hazan's butter and onion sauce. So it's basically just like high-quality tomato sauce with like a stick of butter and half an onion. And you just like simmer it. And then it makes this sort of amazing sauce. So that's kind of a phenom on its own.
I think it just gave me heartburn you talking about it.
Yeah, but then you add like a couple tablespoons of miso to that.
What?
Oh.
And it's stupid.
Whoa.
White miso, which is basically a cousin of MSG. And it's just this umami that is like, it just is stupid. It's stupid. So like then Beau makes the pasta, tosses it with that, and then serves it with a meatball. And it's like, he's just a total maniac creative, and he has a sous chef, this woman Rachel. They're maniacs. They're creative and they love Alaska and they understand Alaska, but this dish is like a standard issue on their menu, and it's just like pretty epic. I tried to copy his recipe. I actually wrote it for edible one time. But anyway, you make the balls. You make the balls.
Yes.
You use, but the best meat is venison. I swear to God, like nothing compares. And then you put them in that sauce, and then you use high quality pasta. You'll just win. You are winning. It is a very special, like, Sopranos.
Well, it's plentiful down there.
I
The
gotta
blacktail
go.
deer.
I gotta go try that.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Let's do it.
Barney Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. Barney specializes in supplying hunters with the absolute best Alaskan-proven gear on the market for some of nature's most rugged and demanding terrain. Whether you're headed to the remote volcanic islands of the Alaska Peninsula in search of a brown bear, or the shale-infested glacial valleys of the Brooks Range for Dall sheep, it is critical you choose the right gear for your dream hunt. Don't miss Barney's exclusive brand, Frontier Gear of Alaska, tested from the high mountains of Tajikistan to the extreme conditions of Alaska. These products were designed for high performance and durability. Frontier Gear was derived from decades of experience hunting big game in Alaska. Paired with other top brands, it provides you the absolute best gear selection anywhere in the world. Stop in at Barney's Sports Chalet in Anchorage on Northern Lights, or check out their custom website and reference tool at barneysports.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience. At Total Truck, you can find brands such as ARE, RSI Smart Caps, Goose Gear, iCamper, Front Runner, Rigid Lights, Rhino Linings bed liners, and everything you need to outfit your truck or SUV. Alaska Overlander provides 4x4 vehicles and expedition trailers, custom modified for Alaskan adventures and outfitted with rooftop tents, fridges, and all the camping and cooking gear you need to start exploring. Visit them at alaskaoverlander.com.
Rustic Goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, Adam Markham. Yeah, we had him on. I think he was like first 5 episodes.
Yeah, I think he was number 2.
I'm trying to get Dave on.
Yeah. What is he
He's
doing?
starting me, man.
He's hard to pin down.
Come on, Delicious Dave.
I know.
Come through.
Oh, that's right. We were talking to him for
We
since the beginning.
do I've been hosting an annual game meat party.
Oh.
And it's gotten a little out of hand. So we can't do it at my house anymore. But I want to formally invite you because it's one of these events that we host. It's like a private event for all our friends and guests and people like that. And everyone comes with their best game dish.
Okay.
So when you come, I think last year we had 180 people there.
Holy jeez, where did you have it?
We rented a place.
Yeah.
And we had it there.
It was a
grills.
house party, Julia.
Yeah, it was like back in the day. But the amount of things that come is amazing. I mean, people are bringing different type of game and lumpias and desserts. And
I've got to come. I'd love to.
And just the different. I mean, there was so much food.
Smoked
It was
trout from Campbell Creek.
Oh, what?
that's the winner. That was the winner.
It's best not to. It's best just to say like cook inlet smoked trout.
Ptarmigan from Upper Huffman.
Yeah.
Jack looked at me like, what?
Okay.
I believe it, dude, with that crowd.
So here's a question.
Exactly.
Here's a question. Tell me, like, of all of the things, the Alaskan wild foods that you, okay, close your eyes and just imagine the mouthful. Like, what is the thing? What is the best thing?
At the party?
Just no.
In general.
In general. Like, maybe it's at the party, but, you know.
For me, it's crab.
What kind of crab?
Oh, it doesn't really matter that much, to be honest.
Okay. Is it done in butter?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that'd be like a mouthful of crab. Now that would cost you like $15 to $20.
We get it on our own.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh.
I would say some type of slider.
This is a slider?
Ooh,
what kind of animal?
I want to bring up that Muskox shredded slider that Wes brought.
Damn, we got a barbecue sauce on that situation, or like
he had some sort of salty cheese on it.
Damn, we
There
got
was no
pickles.
sauce.
Is it a pickle situation?
There was a pickle on there.
God, I love a pickle on a slider.
Man, it was so good.
Those things were unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just think of Muskox like, ugh. But it was amazing. It was amazing.
I don't think of it like that. I feel like it's gonna be good. Like muskox seems like a good thing.
Yeah, it definitely blew my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they eat
Grass.
grass. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
So
bison.
yeah, that's how
Yeah.
I would attribute it to. Yeah. Gosh, man, that's a really good question.
That bison backstrap we had in here was real good.
Bison
That was
is
good.
Bison is legit. Bison's delicious.
That is my number one Alaska game meat.
All right.
It's
All right.
bison.
Yeah, Jake got one. Jake got a bison the day before his show, right? And then we smoked it on the grill and brought it in here. It was a tenderloin, and then ate it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was super good.
You did some kind of mustard on it or something?
Yeah, I cooked it. But yeah,
You did it?
yeah.
Would the sous vide a little bit and then grill?
No. It was smoke for a while, and then we went to high heat.
Sous vide is such a dude thing.
Is it?
It's
Yeah.
super easy with kids.
Yeah, there you go. But I don't know what it is. It's like dudes like sous vide. They're like, I'm gonna sous vide this. Like ladies, they just don't. They aren't trying to do that. They're like, I'm gonna put it in my La Crusade pan, and then it's like that thing of like the Traeger versus the green egg. Like Traeger, Traeger's gonna be Republican. He's gonna be a cop, or whatever. And Green Egg is gonna be like a public lands manager.
BLM.
Exactly. It's like, yeah. They're probably both wearing Patagonia jackets out there, but it's just anyway.
Yeah, one of them hates himself for it.
No, one of them's really clean and the other one's dirty with a bunch of like patches and stuff on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Anyway,
The
Big
sous
bacon
vide thing,
grease
as a dad,
streak.
though, like you can go make the pre-meal, put the vegetables in it.
yes.
And then throw it, like the last thing you do before you drive your kids to school is you throw it in the
Smart.
water. And,
Yep.
and then you get to work, and at 2:30, you turn it on your Bluetooth. And
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
But all of that is like, dude.
yeah, totally.
Like
Yeah.
planning it ahead
Yeah.
of time, like,
Yeah.
oh shoot, I got the sous vide, I can do it on my app.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is such a dude thing. But I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't like. I'm just
is
by myself.
really
I don't
handy.
like
Oh,
have
dude.
that. My lifestyle doesn't. Yeah. So
Too much foresight.
what's your favorite?
Man, I was just like trying really hard to think about it. I don't know. This isn't my favorite. This is not my favorite, but this is the first thing
Comes
that
to
came
mind. Okay.
was I was like maybe six years ago. We were on our way to Moose Camp, and we just had a really great run on spruce grouse,
Yeah.
just with a 22. Pow, 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 pow. Probably got a dozen of them on the way between all of us to Moose Camp, and I said, "Well, guys, help me clean these things up, and I'm gonna make fajitas." And so I did fresh spruce grouse fajitas on the cast iron skillet.
Okay.
And I happened to bring like taco pack, the whole thing. So I was like, oh, just in case we get enough. Because there was like 5 of us that year. Yeah. Got to make quite a bit.
That's a lot of spruce grouse.
But it was a lot of meat. I mean, once we started peeling them out, I mean, I had a bowl full of meat because I stripped it. I cut it in strips.
Thigh meat
yep.
Yeah.
I harvested every single ounce of meat possible off those grouse. I spent so much time. But I just remember everybody just sitting around the fire that night, like every bite, oh my God, Brandon, oh my God, Brandon. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know how I did it. I just cooked some fajitas, like kind of like half-assed from scratch. Yeah. Maybe because they're at moose camp, right? That they're like extra good. Yeah. And we used to have to do like an overnight to get to moose camp. So it was like a really miserable trip where we would get from like, trail start to this spot. And it was like, oh, we fucking made it, man. That was so shitty. And then we had a whole nother shitty day the next day. Yeah. So it was that first leg of the shittiness. Yeah. That I made those fajitas. Yeah. And then everybody was just, anyway, I just remember, and they were right. Like every bite was like the most scrumptious, just savory, delicious. Yeah. And the grouse was so... I mean, they were eating blueberries, and they were. You peeled them open, they were just blue. Yeah, all the breasts were just blue.
That dark meat.
Oh, that's my God. So good for you. The blueberries were so good that year, like the best ever. Because we were putting them in our pancakes all the time that year. Yeah, and those grouse were just. We've never had. I don't think ever had grouse that good. That was just an exceptional year, but. So that was, I guess, it's just the first thing that came to mind.
I like it.
There's Spruce Grouse Fajitas. Yeah.
There's this guy, Pete Wells. He's a food critic for the New York Times, and to be a food critic is hard because you got to write about food, but you can't be stupid. Yeah,
and you're kind of a dick, aren't you?
Well, I mean, that's optional, but like you got to write about food in a way that like the way he writes about food is to be like not like it tasted like herbs and lemon and leather or something like that. He never says stuff like that. He's like, it tasted like a weekend in Maine when I was 12. Like, and cool. And because there's this like amazing link between memory and flavor. That's actually one of the reasons the pandemic's so jacked up is because it messes with people's relationships to smells and tastes in this like jacked up way. It takes that away from people when they lose it, and some people lose it for a long time, and I lost it for like 9 months, and I gave it a lot of thought, but anyway, that story you tell, it's like, can you really separate the flavor of something from the context in which you eat it? And like, should you? Right. And that's like the whole thing going back to Alaska Native food is like, this is how we know who we are when you're Native, right? Because you go out on the boat, you get the whale, you pull it in, everybody in the boat eats a piece of that meat standing right there and prays to God about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just this way in which like food is about so much more,
Well, in that same context, I think part of it, as far as what you like, or what you remember the most is where it was cooked. Right. Versus, like, example, like you go to some fancy restaurant, you get this delicious meal from some kitchen in a restaurant versus your grandma cooked you something in her kitchen. Right. Versus your mom cooked you something on a campfire when you're camping. Right. And to me, personally, anything that's made outside on a fire over a grate or with a cast iron is just the best. And like we've started these traditions with my mom and my parents. They snowbird now, and they come and they camp with us all summer, and my mom is an excellent chef. I mean, she just makes these Colombian meals that are just like, I don't even, like I could say them, people don't even know what they are, but she just makes these bandeja paisas and sancochos and these soups and these things, and like, she'll make them all on the fire.
Yeah, and that's a tradition, right? Like I've seen videos of like places where people just have outdoor kitchen in South America, like,
Yeah, so when we would go to, when I was little, and we'd go to Bogota and visit my dad's grandma. I mean, in their house, they would literally have like a little thing with a little fire that they would cook. Like that. And so it just brought me back to those days when my mom and my dad was cooking all this chicharrones and empanadas and all these stuff in Homer on the beach on this big fire pit that we made.
Yeah.
And it just brought me back that one little moment, you know what I'm saying, in my dad's mom's house or little tiny apartment in Bogota in the hood over there, and her just making this, like, these eggs and this stuff. It's just like, just brought me back to that. And something about that just triggers that beautiful flavor and just that memory of it just being so good,
Yeah.
Genuine.
Like instead of some fine 5-course place from blah 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 or wherever, like I'd prefer that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, food is like a carrier molecule, for other things. Like food is calories in, right? But it carries all this other stuff. Like food is love, food is memory, food is connection, food is identity. It's all these things. And in Alaska, in a place where we're like annexed from the rest of the world, like 90% of our food's coming in, our relationship to food is really twisted, kind of weird. And wild food is what grounds us. It's not just survival. It's all the other things. It's how we connect to each other. It's like what we do in the summer. Anyway.
Yeah.
Good point.
My favorite food is like black cod, par
I was going
smoked.
to ask you, I was like, you never did tell us what your
Yeah,
favorite,
no, it's
your
like
very favorite
it's
thing
like
was.
par smoked and then finished on the grill. I'm sorry, like there is just nothing that compares to that, like fatty, smoky salt. It just feels right, I don't know. I'm a fan of oily fish. Like if it's oily, I'm into it.
Oh,
You know
I'm
what
so
I
with
think
you
is
on
hot
that.
right now, which is like kind of hot outside of Alaska, but we've always been into it, is tinned fish. Like fish in a tin.
Yeah.
It's like people in New York be all
Sardines
like,
or
we're
something?
going to have a tinned fish party. I'm like, why don't you go to like anyone's cabin right now? But it's very hot, very hot.
Really?
You're going to see tinned fish like in Bon Appetit magazine like soon. Like if it's not already there, like tinned fish parties with like blah tinned fish. It's like, and I'm like, it's kind of better in a jar to be honest, but okay. Like
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
those like oysters, you remember like the oysters on the your parents bust that out, put them on the cracker.
Oh, my mom used to send me to Wendler with that. There's no trades happening.
Stinking it.
Yeah, she's like
Stinking up
sardines and saltines. That's right. It's like, man.
I do
Thanks a
like
lot,
sardines
Mom.
though. My kids are like, like where's the Uncrustable, Mom? Like,
We were just having the conversation, I think, a couple pods ago about our favorite seafood or something like that. Or I think it was mentioned something about like halibut was overrated, and then I had mentioned my favorite was the black
Oh yeah.
black bass or black
cod.
rockfish.
Yeah.
Like it's something that people just like. Oh, we limited out on halibut. Now we're gonna go catch some black rockfish, and you limit out on those. You just kind of like throw them in the cooler, and it's kind of just like brushed off. Like, well, we came here for halibut.
You're talking about butterfish, though, right?
yeah, like
Yeah.
sablefish.
Oh,
yeah.
that?
So like
Yeah.
2,000 feet deep.
It's
Oh,
a deep
how
water.
the hell do you even
Yeah.
really? I mean,
You
not
got
lot
to
of
meet
people
a
get to
guy
eat
in a
those.
parking lot. You can get it, and sometimes Costco has it weirdly.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, and sometimes they have it already smoked, and you can just heat it up. It's like it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
Costco, they know our heart.
I mean,
Costco
people-
knows our
Oh
heart.
yeah,
People are getting it in the
I
sound.
think it
though.
was the mayor's. It was the
Oh, yeah, it was
mayor's
the mayor's.
pods, and we were talking about that. The sablefish. So that's the one you catch with like the super
deep
2,000
line.
foot.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
super cold water, but that is a dirty secret of Alaska. Is we don't really like halibut. Like, let's just be real here.
I know, isn't that kind of like such a snobby fucking thing to say?
It is,
though?
but when we were growing up, it was like it was so plentiful, and that like you got so much, and then it was like, it's like March 30th, and your mom is like, I got some halibut for dinner, and it's gonna have like mayonnaise and I like it like that. I'm not gonna lie, but like the mayonnaise and the crackers, like it's like, and people outside I think halibut's a big deal, but like here we're just like, all right,
Yeah,
My mom would make a
whatever.
red soup with that.
like a cipino kind of thing. But I'm
that's
sure there's
good.
another name for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. Pike
And
is another
always
good one
with like
to make a soup with.
with clams and the halibut, and then we used to go to Homer and get those other like butter. Like what were the ones you used to be able to get
Razors?
out there? No, not
The
razors.
little,
We would do
the
razors
little
too.
butter, little
Yeah.
butter clams.
Oh, the little guy.
Used to
and
be
the
able to get them
mussels.
out there.
Yeah.
And she'd make this crazy red soup out of them.
Yep.
Be so spicy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a good thing to eat. That's good for you.
And speaking about the clams, like that was one of those things that died off too. Like I don't get to take my kids clamming. Like that was a huge thing in our life.
Yeah.
Was going out to, Clam Gulch on the big tide and clamming. And even though I hated clams back then, but I loved clam.
Yeah.
It was so much fun to go out there and do that.
Dirty.
And be all dirty and cold and wet. And then we'd have to clean them all. And I hated it. And she'd make clam chowder, which is probably now delicious, but back then I hated it.
Yeah, we used to do that in Homer, but now I wouldn't. And now there's like another thing is like not only are they not as plentiful, but like they're just like get messed up more. You could get sick more easy. The cases of that is
Red
apocalypse going on.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short, but no, that's increased because the warmer the water, the more that toxic algae grows. That's what they think actually, because you remember when they were like going through those
that
things,
makes sense.
like where the shellfish were dying, and not the shellfish, but the seabirds were dying on the beaches. There was like there were for a couple of years there were like common murres. They were washing up all the time, and it was because there's one theory that there are these blooms of algae because the water was warmer and it worked its way from the bait fish up to the birds, and then sometimes to marine mammals. But that's like another kind of a weird thing, and the shellfish also absorb the algae, the toxic algae. Anyway,
Is that like the red tide algae?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not totally sure, but they were able to see the blooms from like satellite view. And because I was working at that time, like writing a little bit about the weird seabird die-off, like many hundreds of thousands of birds. But now that's over now. It was sort of in the like 2016 time, something like that.
Is the red tide something that's every certain amount of years or what's?
It's just related to the conditions that, allow, so like warmer ocean temperatures allow for that algae to bloom. And it's like got like that PSP toxin in it.
Yeah. In all your travels around Alaska and eating things, we've been talking about all this delicious stuff. What's like the grossest thing you had to eat, but yet it's like smile? Because you're like, I don't want to embarrass this person. Like, you're in someone's house or something. And
I don't know. Like, so secret thing about me is that after I had my kid, I got like weird life-threatening food allergies. Like I just ate everything and then that happened. So I have to eat super careful now.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's real stupid. I don't recommend it. And it's embarrassing and it's weird to be a food person with food allergies. But
yeah, I can't do peanut butter now.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you don't do peanut butter?
No, I'm joking.
No, I don't. I can't. Like, I brush my mouth after I make lunch, and I get, like, my lip swells up. It's stupid. But because of that, I can get myself out of, like, the things. But I think what's some weird stuff? I don't know. Like, I can't eat, like, a lot of, like, marine mammal. Like, I can't eat a lot of blubber. Like, it stresses me out because I'm allergic to shellfish. Like I'm afraid that, and like fish eat, like marine mammals eat crustaceans, but nothing has happened. But yeah, like something
just in your head when you're eating it though. It's like,
yeah, it's like got a different texture that I'm unaccustomed to. I'm trying to think like something super gross. Like I don't know. More often, it's like stuff that is just gross because it's like over processed. Like I'm always tasting stuff because you never know when something might be good.
Yeah,
yeah, you want to always give it a shot,
like
right?
that, like crumble cookies. Like, have you guys had those? They're like they're like $1 million per cookie, and everything's like there's 1 million people working there. I don't know where they found them, and they have like an electronic way of like signing up for getting a cookie. And the cookies are huge and thick. And I had one.
What, a crumble cookie?
Yeah, it's like a place out in the Takatnu. It's a chain.
Oh, I've heard. And, okay.
And they were so, like, moist isn't the word. They were like damp. Like it was like
almost like a wet
packed
cookie.
with like lard or something.
Yeah, like just and like they're like this thick. Like
I don't like a thick cookie.
Yeah, like a thick, damp. I have a lot of feelings about cookies, so that might be it. But I just like and like really sweet and like I just. it was like not that kind of thing is like not like that's the kind of thing where it's like not my favorite. Like super trashy donuts, like golden donuts. Give me a golden donut any day.
Yeah.
Like it's not all of this, like it's not all the stuff. Like the double chocolate golden donut, especially when eaten after 10 p.m. is so good. Like, it's never gonna stop like being my beating heart. But like kind of like a cold Krispy Kreme.
Doesn't really do it for you.
No, it's gross. Like I can't explain it. Like that stuff grosses me out more than like any kind of weird wild food that I can think of that I've eaten. Like I haven't eaten anything really super stinky, and there are a lot of stinky things that you could eat. Have you all tried anything fermented? I mean, I guess I ate some fermented whale, but I haven't eaten like. There's a lot of like fermentation is a traditional food preservation technique for protein in Alaska, which is kind of like outside of like what a lot of us are eating. But
I
haven't
definitely
had much fermented stuff.
I think
stink
I had
heads.
like a like it was probably like a level of fermentation of smoked salmon. And it was a guy's version of it. The way he does it in his cooler, it's like fermented. And
you got to be careful with that in a cooler. Not enough like oxygen.
I mean, it was all bad. It's all bad. And he's like, this is the best ever. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to like give this a go.
Yeah.
And maybe it's going to be the best smoked salmon because everybody's got the best smoked salmon.
Yeah.
And nope, it tasted like rotten fish, and it was disgusting.
Yeah, I mean,
and I didn't want smoked salmon for the whole rest of the summer.
There is a way to ferment salmon, but I don't know that that's it. You got to have more oxygen. Like the fermentation techniques are actually pretty fascinating because people use the same vessels always, and they're permeable. So. But what's happened is now people will start to do fermentation in like a plastic bucket. And the taste is different, but also people are more likely to get foodborne illness because they don't have enough oxygen.
That and they don't have the right bacteria living in like your staves or whatever it is that eat like the E. coli or all the bad shit.
Oh, the good bacteria that kills the bad bacteria.
You would be like the person who knows
That's
way
like
more
why
about
we don't
that.
do cheese here, We don't do cheese right, We do it in stainless. It's
not the same. No, it's totally wrong.
Oh, versus like letting it mold and hang
in like
and do the whole
an
thing.
oak basket or
it's not molding. It all the good bacteria lives in there and is like eating all the bad shit is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
One time I did eat something pretty weird. I was like, I don't know if you ever been to like a Hmong gathering before. But this was like, you probably know about it. It's from like back on the east side. There's a lot of people, Hmong people especially. But I went to like a whole day thing, and they sacrifice. They have like a religious practice around animals, and they kill them, to feed because they believe the spirits walk among us, and they're hungry, and they cause problems when they aren't fed. And so, like that's a short version. But they sacrifice animals to satisfy that, and so we like killed chickens up in this fourplex in Mountain View. The ladies are like taking all the feathers off in the living room. I was like, I know this is a rental. I don't know. Anyway, and the whole time there was like this pig that had gotten done up at the Samoan grocery. So it was like this Anchorage, and they had done it with like a 5-spice rub, and then they had cooked it in like this big oven that was in the grocery, like hanging up. But they bled it, and it's like important to eat the blood. So they made a sort of like a dressing and the pig was delicious. We ate it. Like we had this big feast in the living room with the shaman and the family and all the kids and the old people and whatever. But they dip it in it's like hot chilies, cilantro, something salty, fish sauce, and pig blood. And that was a little out there just because I was like, how long
do they cook the blood or no?
No. But I think maybe the salt and the heat might, I'd like to believe that cured it, but that was just like a little hard for me to like wrap my mind around. But there was like no getting around that. You had to put that in.
You had to dip it in there.
You had to put that right in.
What did it taste good?
It was pretty good. I mean, it's if you put like those flavors together, it's pretty good, and it's just like blood, whatevs, But you just like if you don't think about it, I have. It's one of those things with like thinking about it, like rabbit, when you eat rabbit, like it's just a little bit. it's the same thing where I'm like, I'm just gonna chicken this in my head. Like
The rabbit part was fine until like I killed one and I heard what sound it made, and then it made it real hard.
And the Hmong culture is so interesting to me.
yeah, food's super important.
I witnessed one time out hunting caribou. I was out in Eureka, and they were shooting the ground squirrels that run around out there.
Yeah.
And they were making larb out of those. They were eating the ground squirrels. It's basically, you know what larb is?
Yeah.
So they're making larb, and for people that don't know, it's basically a meat that's cooked in lime or lemon, and they were using that meat to make that stuff. And I was like, wow. I never just even crossed my mind. No, I wasn't with them. I was just happy to see it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And they ended up posting a YouTube video, and I found it, and I was like, that's what, it was like the exact same people. I was like, that's what they were cooking. And they brought out like their big like rice thing that they do it in, like the basket rice thing.
Yep.
And there was a whole big group of them, and they were making that larb. And one of our friends who comes to the meat party, he's married to a Hmong girl, and she brings that. I call it Hmong juice. I call it Hmong juice. I don't know. They didn't even know what the name is. Just their salsa that they make. Oh my God, it is so.
Is it like a cilantro pepper? Situation.
Spicy.
Lots of pepper.
Hella spicy. Yep. With those little peppers.
4-star. 4-star.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of my mom's ahi. Is what we call it. It's like vinegary, but they have different ones. There was a security guard downtown that he brought me 2 jars, and his was like really like orangey. It was less vinegary and a little bit thicker, but it was so good. Did you know that I had a barber who was Hmong, and we would just talk about food like the whole time. He's like cutting my hair.
It's super important, you know. I mean, like they're worried not just about their own hunger, but the hunger of their ancestors, and like it's. My mailman, this guy Jur, he's so awesome. But he is Hmong. He also has a chicken farm. So, you know, but we talk about like, and then I raised chickens for the school, and like, you know, and he was like coming looking at my like messed up chickens, being like, that one, he's not gonna live. He's like, you could raise it, but it's not gonna live. But anyway, but yeah, it's like, but food is. I mean, it's the same. Food is everything, you know, and like if you go, there's like a couple of different places where there's like a lot of Hmong families living like over off of Muldoon in that one trailer court, you know, the one like, I want to say it's like the Mayflower. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The one that's in the middle if you're going northbound on the right? Yeah.
Oh, Muldoon has a ton. Wonder Park has a bunch too, but Muldoon has the most.
And you go in there in the summertime and people are just like, everything's a garden. You know, I mean, the Hmong people are survivors, and they come from all different regions, and they're like, they got 10 different clans in town, and they all have their own different ways of cooking, and some of them, you know, it's just like, it's fascinating. I like really, like the food culture is really something.
Well, even how they procure, like when you go and you'll see them hunting, the whole entire family's there, like 80-year-old grandma to like 2-year-old kid to baby,
right?
Like you'll see like 40 of them out there, and there's just they brought the entire extended family. All of them are out there to procure the caribou or the moose or whatever they're going after.
They go hard.
But the point I was going to make, as we brought up Thanksgiving, and I was telling them how my mom did it with rice and like garbanzos, and we would have like green olives, and that's what was our stuffing. Like I never had traditional stuffing until I was an adult. So like I married my American wife, and I was like, oh, this is delicious, you know. And she was like, oh, that's delicious. And so I brought it up to my barber, who moved back to Minnesota, a big community there, and they do noodles. They stuff it with noodles.
Awesome. My God, I love that.
And then I brought it up. I was like, well, then do you guys like cut the meat and then you have like a side of noodles? He's like, no, then we grind it all up and it's just like one big like stir thing. It's like, wow, just blew my mind.
Rad.
I'd never even, so anytime I like meet a Hmong person, I was like, how do you guys do your turkey?
No, it's a culture that's totally all about food. Cause like also there's these relationships that have formed between like urban Hmong people because it's been about like, there was that big resettlement that had the refugee resettlement that happened like 15 years ago, something like that. But there are these relationships that form between like farmers in the valley among people coming out to get different fish, different food for, you know, parties or like for sacrificial purposes, but then they would eat it, you know, like, so you could like, someone gets married, you do a cow, you know, somebody dies, you do a pig, you know, you got problems, you're going to do a couple chickens, like, and that's what, so, that's like, I think that's like my mailman, like, I think that's like his jam is he raises the chickens for like, you know,
it's so cool. It's such a like unique Alaskan Anchorage thing. Like, my neighbors to the left are Tongan, and they'll do, every time it's their kid's birthday, they're like doing an entire pig. I'm like, yes, it's his birthday. I like that on the calendar. And then to the right is a Thai family, and this guy, he literally installed a hood because for some reason, like, they put the hood of the oven, but it didn't go outside, like the air. And so the first thing he did before they even moved in, I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I gotta have an event. I cook very spicy Thai food. And I was like, right on, man. Welcome to the neighborhood.
It is so Anchorage though, and that's what makes this place so special, is all of that. And the wild food is like this thread that unites everybody, you know. And also living in a place with big wildness and having to dig each other's cars out. That's like, this snowstorm has been really good for like healing purposes for our city. Because people got to be nice to each other. No one's talking about politics, you know, and like we need each other. But that's the whole thing. Anyway, I should probably go pretty soon.
Okay, we'll take one more break and I want to come back. I want to talk about pies.
Okay, got it.
The Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. Be sure to ask the bud tender about their deal of the day, because honestly, there's always something good on deck. And guys, listen, this is where the culture lives. At the Treehouse, their dedication to servicing consumers has been developed through a lifetime of involvement in the cannabis culture. They're committed to providing the highest quality products at whatever value your budget affords, while always maintaining the deep-rooted principles that have carried them this far. Their focus is on relationships over transactions, and you can always depend on them to treat you with the respect you deserve. Hit them up at thetreehouseak.com, and remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store.
Tailored Restoration, 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you at any time, day or night. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Mat-Su, or Fairbanks. Make an appointment today at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Since 2008, Serrano's is Anchorage's own new generation of old cocina. Their menu showcases the passion and love of their rich heritage and unique family recipes that have been passed down through the generations. Serrano's goal is to embrace and display trad flavors using the best ingredients that are available. They focus on making everything from scratch daily. In-house menu includes handcrafted corn tortillas, salsas, carne asada, and chorizo. But don't take their word for it. Experience their tradition and sabor for yourself. Locations on Tudor and Northern Lights, both with new tequila bars. Check out their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
The Connoisseur Lounge, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. The Connoisseur Lounge is Palmer's first locally owned and operated cannabis retailer. Their beautiful store is located at 226 Evergreen Avenue. The Connoisseur Lounge has exclusive cannabis products such as Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and one of our favorites, Sugar Cookies. And if you're not into the flower, the Connoisseur can hook you up with edibles, vape supplies, and a ton of CBD options for all your health and inflammation needs. Check out their daily deals at theconnoisseurlounge.net, or even better, stop by the lounge today. Remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their
we have like
store.
this agenda of shit that we barely even touched like two things on it.
So we'll do it again.
That's
how you know it's going good, when you have all this stuff.
I just am so curious about all you all, and like, it's fun.
Next time you come, you just interview us.
Yeah,
I will.
I know, but you had some good questions. And I had one like thing to touch on, like the whole food thing before we like moved to the pies. It was like you had mentioned, we were talking about Hmong and Samoa and Thai. It's like the diversity of Alaska, and we've talked about that many times on the podcast. It's unique, right? Anchorage and Alaska in general is very diverse, but you know, the food really brings it all together, right? You have all these diverse cultures. Everybody's into food. And then you add the wild game angle to it and
That's
fish and everything.
yeah.
It's like you hit it there. Like it clicked in my head. I'm like, man, that is like. I wish people had like more block parties in neighborhoods where they like shared all that stuff and did that. Like
We need that right now. Everybody
Straight
got all,
up.
the last couple of years messed everybody up.
Yeah,
Everybody's been
everybody
in their
acts like
houses,
they
all
can't
paranoid.
even. Yeah, they acts like they can't say excuse me when they're like walking by or how are you doing today or
They forgot how.
do you want to try this, cheeseburger? Like
Yeah.
it's like-
Do you want to come in? Right.
Oh yeah, that's
Do you
not,
wanna
does that
come
even
in?
exist?
No, and it's messed up. We gotta fix it. It's like there's like we gotta fix it. We gotta
that's a
fix
good
it.
I think the block potteries are good. Whenever I
Well,
bust
food
out
is a
the
good start.
stand,
Food's a good start.
Food's everything.
Everybody likes to eat.
It's a ticket in.
It's taken in. Yeah.
I'll bust out the stand in April or May, and I'm just cleaning it, and I just start cooking hot dogs, and all the kids just come out from all the houses and like, hot dog?
Where do you
Chips,
live? I
hot
gotta
dog?"
know now.
I call it Little Manila.
Oh
You know where that is?
no.
Okay. It's in Turnagain, but not the ritzy side of Turnagain. It's Little Manila. Like everyone is like
Filipino.
Hmong or Filipino or Thai or
Yeah.
Colombian, and it's just
What's
like
the street, cross streets?
The cops don't come there.
Yeah.
They just drive on by.
Behind Balto Sapala Park, Turnagain Elementary. Behind Turnagain
Oh yeah,
Elementary.
I know just where. That's where my kid he practices soccer over there at that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they're
rush,
right
at the
behind
rush.
the
Yeah,
field.
Yeah,
he's
right
at the-
back in there. Yeah.
That's a good neighborhood. Split level.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. We like it there. It's cool. My son rides his bike to his soccer there.
Yep.
Sometimes we haven't seen you there actually.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. I got
Yeah.
2 of them in there now.
Yeah. And then the other one rides his bike to Linary to go play baseball, and
That's
it's
awesome.
nice. It's really nice there. I'm very infatuated with all your pies.
Okay, let's talk about pies.
I have some of them up on the screen there. Walk us through from top right on down.
Okay.
What we got going on here.
So that's my mom's. That's like a strawberry rhubarb that needed to go in the oven there. And then we're gonna go this way. That's my
Yeah, we're gonna
cousin.
go.
She made that's my cousin Tanya. She made like a fresh pumpkin pie. So she used one of those sugar pumpkins and then made it.
Oh,
And
it's like a custardy looking.
yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
And then that one is my cousin. She made it's just like a apple.
Right lower corner.
Yeah,
there?
that's an apple crumble. And then this is the New York Times cranberry curd tart. I made it a little different because I just made a regular tart crust. And then we decorated it with pomegranate. So it's just basically, and we made it with wild cranberries from that I picked out at my cabin. So it had that like cool, like wild cranberry taste, which I really liked. This one is like a butter mochi pie with matcha, which is like my favorite pie. But it's basically just kind of like a custard, like a sort of a dense custard pie that has that like subtle matcha.
Looks like green
flavor.
tea, like a green tea.
Yeah,
like a
that's
thing.
what it is. It's a green tea powder.
Yeah. Is that matcha? Is that what
It's
matcha is?
matcha, yeah. And then that's like my favorite pie. I made it gluten free.
Wait, hold on. You just said the other one.
Oh, sorry. I like this one too. This,
can have
I
two
like that.
favorites,
I
okay?
like that one, and then this one was my favorite pie this year. This is an eggnog pie.
Oh,
And I made it for my
shit.
brother. I used because he's gluten free, so I used like these
Bear
like
lard.
graham crackers. No. My uncle is the best pie maker, so that's my uncle's pie. His name's Tommy. He lives in Girdwood, and
he had a piece before he put it on the
yeah,
table.
it's like a whole thing. It's called Pie First, capital P, capital F. But it's like it's a tradition.
PF?
Yeah, and you make a bunch of pies. You're never gonna eat all those pies, and then the night before, when the kids go to bed, you eat some.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have
That's
pie
cool.
first. 'cause
And what's
you
this last
should.
one here?
And then this last
Like a
one,
moose.
no, no, this is an ube pie, which I overcooked slightly because I forgot what I was doing. But it's
many pies.
It's a purple sweet potato pie. And in fact, I think I used partially Okinawan sweet potatoes because it was hard to find ube. But and then it has a toasted meringue, like a marshmallow meringue there on the top.
Break out the blowtorch.
Absolutely,
We didn't have pies growing up. That's not like a Colombian thing.
You know, we didn't
it's something different. You had other stuff.
until
Yeah.
the bear lard thing, and that changed everything in the Lau house.
You like
Oh,
bear
using the bear lard?
in pie?
Yeah, the pie crust.
Yeah, that makes sense. Larson-
It's like unreal. Like
Yeah. But
I
is it
was like,
gamey?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, these
I would
are
take
blue.
some of that.
So these
I'll
are like
trade you some of
very
that.
specific, like Kenai Mountain blueberry bears taken in late August.
Yeah.
Like the bear fat's purple.
I would believe that would be really good.
Yeah.
People
It's
have
be so
a lot
good.
of
It's
lards.
unreal.
A lot of like lard, like Crisco is actually smart. Like it does something different. But also how you handle the dough, like that was my huge revelation this year, which was, I like actually have like, I'm like handicapped in the pie crust department. Like I need assistance. Like I can't just like do it by hand. Like it sucks. And my family, they're like really hardcore pie makers, as you can see. But but the lard, like this, I think would be the like that lard sounds dreamy, but you would do a half butter, half lard situation, and you make it in the Cuisinart, and you got to be cold, super cold, and you're like maybe you're gonna do 10 pulses, and then the pieces of fat need to stay big, and that is the key. You cannot have small fats. You have to then use. I use.
Why can't you have small fats?
The bigger fats, like the next thing is that you use if you're gonna laminate the dough. So then you keep the fat big. So if you're gonna have small fats, then you just like keep it running. You drizzle cold vodka into it. It coalesces into a dough, and then you're cool. Like that'd be standard issue. But the crazy baller way is you keep the fats big. You dump it out. You mix in the vodka, cold ice cube in there. But you dump it out while it's still crumbly, and you press it together. And then it should be sticky enough to kind of press together, and you make it into sort of like a novel, like a trashy novel size of a rectangle, and you roll it out. The fats are still big, and you fold it, and then you roll it again, and it does this croissant thing because it laminates the dough that is
Layered.
just friggin' ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, one of your fats should be salty. And I stand by that. You can put salt in there, you can add salt, and you can add sugar, but salted fat, it's better. Anyway, so this is like,
that's
I just
really
went deep,
interesting.
but like, so
Because the crust I'm talking about, I've never
my pay
made,
grade.
of course, but they have that croissanty flaky stuff.
yeah, well, the lard does that. Like any lard is going to give you more loft. Also, the alcohol when it cooks off will give
Okay.
you a little more
Yeah,
loft.
yeah,
but
yeah.
that lamination, like
Yeah.
mind blown. Like I don't know. It's really hard to do, and I did not do it on all those pies. I usually just run the Cuisinart because I'm like,
What's the
too much
what's a big
work.
pie culture? Like what? From where?
Midwest, right?
Is that an American thing?
I think Alaskans actually have a pie culture, and I don't know. Like it's tied to roadhouse culture. A pie is something you can make and share, and slice and share. Like a cake is the same, but I think we had a lot of traveling with stops, roadhouse stops, and it was relatively mid-century, where you could kind of drive the Alcan, you would stop at a roadhouse, you get a piece of pie.
Yeah.
And we have roadhouses going all the way to Fairbanks, but Talkeetna is a pie place, and so I do think there's like and also we're a berry place,
Yeah.
it's one of the wild
Yeah.
foods that we
right.
have a lot of access to, and pies just like naturally lend themselves to that, especially blueberry. Man, a blueberry pie, like talk about something that feels like you should be eating it, like that inky blueberry.
With
You should-
Alaska blueberry.
Yeah, no, Alaska blueberries, absolutely, but they're
Low
just
bush.
different. Low bush, and they're just like, you should eat that.
Yeah.
That should be what you have,
Some seeds
Have you
still in
guys
there.
ever had the pies on the Denali Highway when you're caribou hunting?
At
It's right there, like maybe
I
5
have-
miles to the west.
Damn,
of
the roadhouse-
Yeah, I forget what roadhouse that is.
yes,
So
that is a
So
roadhouse.
we
thing.
had
I
that-
never made that connection.
So we had that.
Roadhouses.
Yeah.
We had that pie every year hunting,
Eureka, man.
right? And then this is just a little side tangent. And then I go to college, and our fraternity cook lived in Idaho and would drive across the border to Washington State. And, and anyway, so I get to know her. She spends the summers in Alaska. She's the pie cook at that lodge or at that roadhouse. And her mom was the one before her. It was, but the
it's like
same pie that
Oh, wow. It's like a
we eat in our
generational
fraternity
thing.
is the one that would eat every year after hunting. It was cool.
That's
Except for
like-
not with
it's-
Alaska blueberries in Washington.
But it is a pie.
yeah,
It's
it was
probably
pretty
still
rad.
delicious,
It was
though.
super cool.
Yeah. Real quick factoid: ancient Egypt and Greece
Oh, really?
pie
Pies?
originators.
There you go.
Ancient Egyptian.
I mean, it
So
makes
Google
sense.
says.
It's like a big dumpling in its own way, and every culture has a dumpling. You
There
can't
you
find
go.
a culture with no dumplings, but
That was one form of it, right? What's the roadhouse? Is it on the Paxton side or Cantwell side?
It's on the Cantwell side. It's like 5 miles from the Susitna Bridge going west.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah, I used to know the
Quite a
name.
ways
I
in
can't
the-
remember it.
top of the.
Alpine?
No, Alpine's after that.
It's the one before that, right?
Yeah, it's like I mean, it's literally
I
like
see it in my. I see it.
right after the airstrip.
Yeah,
you know?
I see it.
That's
Maybe
funny,
3 miles from the
Because I
bridge.
went to Eureka Roadhouse 3 times this summer and I had pie
Oh yeah.
after my burger.
You know,
Like, every time.
come to think of it too, pie doesn't use a lot of flour. Flour is like a hard to get commodity, and so there's also like the ratio of like flour to wild food. So it's like it's a wild food led kind of thing, but and flour is hard to get. I mean, and fat, I don't know, but fat's not easy to get either. But people could get Crisco, people could get canned fat, so that would have been so that's another kind of thing, like historically why pie kind of fits in, because people were relying on shipped in flour. There's a lot of recipes early on where people are like reusing breadcrumbs instead of flour or that kind of thing, because it was just like expensive. White flour is expensive to get, and no one could grow wheat here, right? So it's kind of a weird imported
That's a good point.
grain.
Yeah.
Do you have some bucket list foods?
They have to do with like places,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I want to go to Cuba. I've always want to go to Cuba for 20 years. I never ever go anywhere, but I do want to go to Cuba, and I want to eat just like basic Cuban food. I have family from Italy. I've eaten there a number of times, but I've never been to Paris. I just want to go to Paris and eat butter things. Like, I know that seems simple.
I bet it just tastes that much better, though.
I don't know I'm like a weird person who likes to retread certain things. Like, there's a couple of restaurants in New York that I always go to that are the same. I like always walk the same route around my neighborhood. I don't know what it is about me like that. I never
Creature of
tire.
habit.
It's true. There's something about returning to the same thing and finding something new there that I just like. I love that whole thing, but I'll just never tire of produce, y'all. Like, let's be real. Like, just going to a grocery store in Ohio in the summertime and buying a fucking tomato. Like,
There's something about it.
there's just something about it. I just want to buy that. I just want to eat like a tomato that like it cost me like 50. I don't know. That's an Alaska kid thing.
Totally.
If
Yeah,
you,
I get it.
if you could only use one spice, what would it be?
A single spice, dude.
You're going in the woods. This is it, apocalyptic
Well,
style.
so
You can
like
only grab
salt-
one spice.
salt doesn't count?
No, salt doesn't count.
Okay.
You got your salt, but you need one thing. You're like, I forgot
think-
this.
I tease my friend Beau about how he's like really into Calabrian chili all the time. I'm like, oh, are you going to add Calabrian chili to that? But I did order some because I was like, I should probably try this, and it's freaking awesome. So I think heat, right? I would probably bring
heat.
Okay.
Yeah, I would bring heat. If you have salt and
That's a
heat,
good one.
then all you need is acid and fat, and then you're good.
Yeah, that's true. Heat. That's a good one. I was just thinking Old Bay.
Oh,
Bam, Old Bay.
Old
Just-
Bay.
Yeah,
Just an endless supply of Old Bay. I'll be
yeah,
good.
exactly. Lowry seasoned salt. That's like the
Fish,
best.
beef, pork, poultry.
Yeah. Garlic salt's pretty like.
Oh,
good,
that'd probably be the one
Yeah, that
actually of
gets
all time.
Yeah, I do like. Have you ever tried? There's like that. There's like a Prince William Sound salt company.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they make like a pretty good garlic salt. Like I order
Oh, it's
it.
delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had them on.
Yeah, they're awesome.
There's smoked alder one.
Yes.
Oh my god,
Yeah, that one.
That
I
was
can't like.
so smoky.
I just like
Very
don't know what
smoky.
to do with smoked salts. Like I'm just not into them.
Is it overpowering or something?
Yeah, I just am like,
is,
I didn't
yeah.
actually smoke this, like, but here, I mean, smoke paprika, I make a lot of things with beans using smoke paprika. Smoke paprika. Smoke,
Yep.
Try to say
There
that.
It is.
It's like not
Smoke
easy.
paprika.
I want to add it to smoked salmon, jarred.
Yeah.
that would be good.
Oh,
Yeah,
because then it
try
would
that.
That would
like
be good.
it would just be mixed in there. It wouldn't be like
Yeah, just like a little
so it
sprinkle
was
in
lightly
there on
smoked.
top.
You know, I had a revelation. I tried smoking salmon in I was determined to use a little chief and like do it, you know, like dad style. And I did it all summer, Jack, and I did it all summer, and until the point where I can barely eat any more salmon because it's just not that good. Like it's better to pay more and have a better smoker where you can control the temperature. But at the end of the summer, a friend of mine brought me a silver salmon that he had gotten out of the Copper River, and I made lox, and it like. It's so easy. Why do we smoke salmon? It's like, I did it. I was like, this is awesome. I did it with gin. It was a Beau recipe he was testing. It was gin, sugar, salt, and juniper berries. So it was like
simple.
It was like and lemon, a lot of lemon zest. And it was like, and I just like stuck it in there and like put it in the refrigerator or like wash it off, let it get tacky. And there it was. And I was like, why?
So easy.
Have I not been just like making lox? The only thing with lox, which you guys, I'm sure, because you're knife people, would probably, I could not slice it well. And I could not figure it out, like what tool to use to slice lox. Because it's not like the lox where you like, you know, watch the video from like the deli in New York where they're using farm salmon and it's like this thick of a fillet. It's like, it's a silver. And so that was like really hard. But man, we should all be making lox. Yeah. All you got to do is, the hardest thing is pulling the bones out, and then you're good.
Yeah, once you get that down.
It's so delicious. You can do so many delicious things with it. You could make like a kind of like a more like Asian spice profile, and like you could be using it in your noodle soup. Like you could make it's ridiculous. Anyway, I don't know how I got on that.
I think you gotta get a ulu.
It might be. It might be true, like a nice one, like a really thin
like
one.
a legit. Go to the ulu store, get like the
YouTube it.
Ulu.
There's like that hunting knife kind of thing, or like it's like I've seen it like advertised to outdoorsy man types, but it's like very tall and
Josh
thin.
just gave me one of those.
Yeah, I feel like that would maybe
it's
be
like a stone.
Yeah, it's rounded like that but flat, and it's really tall. And
and super sharp.
It's like ulu style.
Kind of ulu-ish.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have a curve on it, right? It's like it has a curve on the backside.
It has a curve on the backside, but it's
that's
just
what
like
I'm talking
flat.
about.
Yes, I forgot what he called it. He just gave me one for my birthday.
They're super beautiful, but I think that style of knife can maybe like get a thin cut on something like.
Because you got a lot of weight to it too,
and you can kind of carry it back. Because that was the big challenge. And you
couldn't just get it to flake.
No, because it's raw. It's just cured up, so it's kind of sticky.
Yeah,
and so you have to get it like, that was the hardest thing. But it was so epically delicious. The texture was amazing. It was moist, not too salty, and easy. And
didn't take as long.
No. And you don't have to like worry about it and screw around with it.
Spend the whole weekend just pay attention to this fish.
And the only thing I figured out like with the little chief is that you have to finish in the oven. Like you'll never succeed. You'll never succeed.
I mean, you got to just really know what you're doing.
Yeah, you do. And there are people who are like masters of it, but I found their recipes. Like I got all these old 80s magazines and you know, I did it all, but I just like I couldn't get it not too salty, not too smoky, not too dry. Like one of those always failed and then I finish in the oven, but by then it's like 20,000 hours later and you're just like everything is like your whole house, you know, I don't know anyway. Sorry.
Smell it on your fingertips.
Straight up going Bradley.
Smoking fish, man.
Yeah. You just got to invest in a Bradley.
A Bradley?
Yeah.
Is that a good smoker?
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, the smoker.
Oh yeah, no, the Bradley smokers.
Just like my friend had one of those ones like $250, and you can just like it's temperature controlled and it has the open front. Is that the kind?
Yeah, does it look like a refrigerator? Has a refrigerator seal? Yeah, that's it. Most likely it's a Bradley. They actually kind of look junky. Like you're like, oh, I could have made that in my college room.
You could,
but no, they're nice.
Yeah,
those are the ones.
I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
because you get the smoke on it, but you don't have to cook it. I mean, and you can cook it, you know, but you don't have to cook it. Like my uncle was like, he would do it. He kept a box. I used his smoker. It was a 45-year-old smoker box. So he'd like put the fish in, load up the like chips, and then he put the actual original 1967 box on it and smoke them like that.
It's amazing that it kept lasting.
Yeah, he was very meticulous, but it's like you can't. it
Never
can't
got wet.
you know, I don't know. And then it rains.
Yeah.
Of course, like,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to let you go, but before
Okay.
you go, what's something we have to eat before we die?
In our town,
Our
Or
state.
just in life. Oh, in our state?
oh man, there's so many things. I don't know. Let's see, what's a favorite? Okay, I'm going to say this would be it. You guys have probably had this, but all people should eat this, which is you pull a red salmon out and then you fillet it up and you cook it over open fire and you have like a really high quality soy sauce and you just cook it so it's just rare, like translucent, and then you just like slice it and then you just like little soy sauce. That's it.
Yep.
That's what you should eat, I think.
That's a good one. That's simple. And that is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, I mean, I don't think I've ever had like high quality soy sauce though. I don't know. Is that, can you get?
Yeah, you have to kind of have to. We can talk later. You have to kind of
Okay.
order it on Amazon, but it's better.
Is this off the mic?
Yeah,
Shit right
it's
here.
got
Okay.
it's got like a kind of an earthiness, and
Okay.
the salt is like just waits a little bit in your mouth. Like it's not just like straight salt. It's like it just like hits you a little later. But yeah, and then it just like allows for that sort of gentle, perfect ocean to come.
Not the
know.
salt pal. Just
No, it
just
doesn't.
like
It
that.
doesn't overpower it. It just like kind of elevates it. Anyway, sorry, I'm going deep. Like it's
You
like
got it. You got it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Sounds good.
you guys are so sweet to have me on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
thanks
you
for
for
coming
coming,
in.
Julia. Thank you for your Alaska history and your knowledge on food and all the writing you've done. Anyone listening, if you haven't gone and check out Julia O'Malley's Instagram, once again, it's J O'Malley, soccer number 17, J O'Malley 17. Check out the website, juliao'malley.com. Tons of recipes, tons of pictures, tons of info. And you got decades in the game.
And I like it. It fills me up. Doesn't really pay me, but it fills me up. So
Let's get you back in and talk about that book too.
yeah,
I know it's deep and maybe a little bit like, I don't know, like controversial, if you will. But
I don't even know if it is. I mean, it came out 4 months before the pandemic, so it was kind of like I never even did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think it'd be cool to talk about some of that. I know, again, it can be kind of serious and maybe
It's a
lose some
little-
of the listeners, but
yeah.
I also think it's good to have a conversation about it.
It's a little apocalyptic sometimes, but
Yeah.
also beautiful. Alaska's full
Sure.
of like people are so innovative. So
Well, it's shit people need to know that don't know. So
we're all connected.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for
Julia.
listening,
Thank
Alaska.
you.
We appreciate you. Stay wild.
You'll remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Arbor Digital, the forefront of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and wealth management, providing a low-cost, research-based investment strategy for Alaskans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Visit arborcapital.io today to put your money to work.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
The Connoisseur Lounge, Alaska's premier locally owned and operated cannabis retailer, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. Their cultivated products include Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and much more. Find them at theconnoisseurlounge.net.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce cards, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Snow Pro AK, your snow and ice management company specializing in business and residential properties. They know what it takes to keep your property presentable and safe. Give them a call for a free estimate at 280-7098 or visit lawnproak.com. Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th, handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
Should you not claim to be at least his equal in prowess and act upon the claim? I say try. If we never try, we shall never succeed. This proposition is a simple truth, and it's too important to be lost sight of for a moment. If we cannot beat the enemy where he now is, we never can. It is all easy if our troops march as well as the enemy, and it is unmanly to say they cannot do it.